Hi guys! So I'm gonna try to make this video short and sweet, but this video is going to be very different and very important. I, like most of you, have been, sitting on my phone, sitting in quarantine, seeing everything happening, and feeling very overwhelmed, and feeling very stuck, and kind of feeling like you can't do enough to help. So I wanted to make this video specifically about white privilege and saying all lives matter in hopes to spread some education and just open a dialogue about why acknowledging white privilege is important and the harms of saying all lives matter. Now, there's obviously a lot of different topics that can come up when talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and talking about the protests that are happening and just everything that's going on surrounding everything in America right now and all the systemic racism in America right now. But today I want to talk about these two things because I feel like these two things are some of the most important for me as a white person to talk about and to educate about because they're white people's issues. So if you're very familiar with the Black Lives Matter movement, with why saying all lives matter is problematic and not helpful, and if you acknowledge your white privilege, if you have it, if you're a white person, then this video is probably going to be, pretty basic for you. I want to make this video very basic because, again, I want to open up the conversation for people who may not understand why saying all lives matter is not helpful. Because I am sure, like a lot of you, have family members, friends, colleagues, whatever, who say it and who have good intentions behind it. And I don't necessarily, I understand the sentiment of, if you say all lives matter, block me, things like that. I understand the sentiment because it's such an emotional labor to try to explain things to people, especially when you care so much about them. So I understand that, but I also, want to open a dialogue and talk about it and really explain why it's not okay in case people just didn't think about it or, really to just, in case people didn't think about it. If you're a person of color watching this, and you find something that I say problematic, or if you think that I could have explained something better, or if you want to make me aware of anything else that you think that I should know about, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I do have a bachelor's in sociology, but in that I only took a few race classes and I grew up in a white ass community. So I'm in no way an expert, but I'm just gonna be speaking from my heart. So again, if I accidentally say something that's not okay, please reach out and correct me. So first, I want to talk about why saying all lives matter is not helpful. So again, I want to approach this with compassion because I feel like a lot of people say all lives matter with compassion. And I know that there are a lot of people that say all lives matter without compassion. I'm not talking to you. If you just don't give a fuck about Black lives, if you don't give a fuck about minorities in this country, I'm not gonna change your mind, I guess. You're just a fucking racist. I see this a lot where it's just we need to stop dividing by race, all lives matter. If we section off the only Black lives matter, then that feels racist to me. I want to just kind of dispel that myth real quick. Ugh. You really gotta whack the weeds right now? This metaphor has been used a lot, but it's an important one. You wouldn't show up on the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month with a ribbon that says all cancers matter. Why? Because that would make you kind of an asshole. Because nobody is saying that just because we have Breast Cancer Awareness Month, that all cancers don't matter. Nobody is saying that. We're saying that, hey, this one is really deadly and we're trying to raise awareness for giving women mammograms so that we can prevent this from happening further. Cool. Nobody really has an issue with that, ever. You wouldn't show up to a rally behind violence against women with a sign that says all violence matters. We know that. We know that all violence is bad. A lot of violence is bad. We don't want violence. But hey, violence against women is something that needs attention. Is something that is a cause in our society that we need to try to help fix. Black Lives Matter. We are not saying that all lives don't matter. We are saying that in this country, Black lives are continuously tossed aside for no reason other than them being Black. You saying all lives matter is, and I saw this, I don't remember where I saw this, but it's a form of gaslighting, and I never really thought about it that way until I saw that post. You are saying, no, your issues don't matter right now because, like, everybody has issues. And, like, that's just not the way to help someone. Sorry, I know you have breast cancer, but, like, other people have cancer. So, no, we're just gonna talk about all cancers. Or, I'm sorry, like, you went through a domestic violence situation, but, like, these two dudes got into a fist fight. So, you know, that violence we need to take care of, too. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Saying all lives matter is completely ignoring the racism in America. And I know, like I said, I grew up in a very, very white community. I had a lot to learn about race, and, you know, going to a pretty liberal school, getting a pretty liberal degree, helped me with that a lot. And I had to deal with a lot of white privilege, acknowledging my white privilege, my white guilt, and it's uncomfortable. I get that. But you know what's more uncomfortable? Having to deal with racism every fucking day of your life, and having to fear for your safety, your children's safety, your partner's safety, simply because you're a person of color. So it is the least we can do as white people to acknowledge our white privilege to help out those people of color. It's uncomfortable, I get it, but ignoring it is actively using your white privilege to not help. I want to say that it can be hard, you know, if you're somebody who's just kind of waking up to the racism in America or whatever, if you don't know a lot about whatever issue it is for this Black Lives Matter, if you don't understand a lot of the movement, if you don't understand why people are doing the things that they do, are rioting, or saying ACAB, or saying fuck 12, like, if you don't understand why all this is happening, then I can see how, like, you don't want to speak up and say something wrong. And to people that feel like that, educate yourself. Educate yourself. You don't have an excuse. Educate yourself. Teach yourself why, and expand your mind to understand why people are feeling this way. Saying all lives matter, as well-intentioned as you can be about it, is just not helpful. It's not helpful. All lives cannot matter until Black lives matter. That's it. That's it. And again, if you don't see the racism in this country, I really, really think you need to open your eyes. And if you just refuse to see it, then again, my video's probably not gonna help you. But just take a look around. How many Black people are you following on Instagram? How many Black people do you have in your realm? Do you actually see it? Do you choose not to? Do you choose to just shut off the TV whenever they talk about another unarmed Black person getting shot? Do you just choose to scroll past the dozens of Black trans women that are murdered every single day? That's your privilege. You get to scroll past that because you have white privilege. These people that are living in communities where this happens over and over, they don't get to. They live it. They live it. And you get to scroll past it. This isn't to make anybody feel bad, but, like, it kind of is. Like, it's hard to deal with these things. It's hard to hear these things, but you need to hear them because it's important, and we have the privilege to help others, so why don't we fucking do it? And I know that a lot of people help other people, you know, a lot of people are passionate about women's rights, about LGBTQ rights, but also if your feminism isn't intersectional, meaning if you don't care about all people that need help, you're not a feminist. If you are only a feminist for the things that affect you, you're not a feminist. I wanted this video to be a lot more organized and a lot more, you know, laid out, a lot more clean. But it's really hard because I just have a lot of emotions right now, and I have a lot of frustrations. I don't want this to be me arguing with someone. I want people to understand why people are upset when you say all lives matter. When you say I don't see color. You not seeing color is a choice to not see the racism in America. I mean, and especially with everybody on social media, how do you not see it? How do you just turn away from all the injustices that are happening? How do you just not believe experiences of people of color? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So these conversations are really hard to have, and, you know, especially like scrolling through TikTok, I see a lot of kids arguing with their parents and, you know, things like that, and they're just like crying, just trying to make them understand why this is so important. And I guess this is just my YouTube version of that, just trying to make people understand that this is important. And I just don't understand how people can't have empathy towards what's going on. I just want to say, like, if you say all lives matter, I want you to ask why. Like, why do you have to say that? Why do you have to invalidate a whole movement? I see it a lot where it's just like, oh, well, saying Black Lives Matter feels racist because we're not, like, we're separating Black people from everybody else. And it's like, no, we're trying to undo the systemic racism that has separated Black people from us. The systemic racism has brought Black people to a level of constantly being oppressed and having prejudice against them, things like that. So we're trying to say, hey, Black Lives Matter, so we're trying to raise it up. We're trying to raise it up to the level of white people. Yes, this includes all people of color. We need to work on this for all people of color. But each group has different issues. We need to help Native tribes. We need to help the Hispanic community. We need to help so many different communities by rising them up. So the Black Lives Matter movement is trying to rise them up to say, hey, Black lives matter just as much as white lives, and you can't really tell right now because of how many fucking Black people are killed in this country for no reason other than racism. That's it. And, you know, you can make excuses for all the police brutality that has happened towards people of color, but at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's just an excuse. And I really don't think you would have those excuses if those people that were murdered were not people of color, were not Black people. Again, this video is kind of all over the place, and I really didn't want it to be, but I'm just speaking from my heart, so it's gonna be messy. So that being said, educate yourself. Take the time to be uncomfortable with your white privilege and then use it to help people. Use your platform, call out your friends, call out your family, you know, do what you can to help. You have privilege. Help. In the same way that, you know, people with money will help poor people and will help homeless people, use your white privilege to help people of color and open your heart to seeing the racism. I know it's really, really easy to just close that off and, you know, have a very like idealistic view of the world, because it's hard to see that. It's hard to see in a country that you love, in, you know, a city that you love, in your community. It's hard to see such an ugly thing happening in a place that you love, but ignoring it is just as ugly. So please open your heart to the experiences of people of color and Black people and allow yourself to feel uncomfortable to make a difference. Link down below, I will have some books that you can read if you want to learn more about how to be a better white ally. Again, I'm no expert. I'm just out here trying. So again, if I said something that, you know, could be better or was wrong or whatever, I'm always trying to educate myself. I'm not an expert. I'm just speaking from the heart here. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm just trying. But educate yourself. Listen to people of color. Listen to their experiences. Open your heart to their experiences. I know it's hard. As somebody who's very empathetic, it's really, really hard to hear all the things that are happening and feel like you can't do anything about it. but you can try, you can educate, you can donate, you can do the things that you can do. So link down below. I will try to have some resources for anybody who feels like they want to educate themselves or others more. I am disabling the comments in this video because I don't have the emotional bandwidth for any potential arguments that could happen in the comments. If you feel like reaching out to me, you can reach out to me on Instagram. But that's all I really have to say. So that's it. I love you guys. Donate if you can. Be safe at protests. Spread the message and educate yourselves. Okay, goodbye.